Salam, Bangladesh. Good evening and good afternoon and good morning to everybody else around the world. Thank you for joining us again. This is going to be another exciting show, all about public speaking and communication this time. Now, it is going to be amazing because we've got a truly international panel here. There is 5 people from 5 different countries around the world, and I'm sure that you're going to be eager to hear and to listen and to learn from them, as well as we are willing to learn from you, because we're all students in this. And it's exciting. And if you just joined us, this is, of course, the great Next Gen Leaders Virtual Summit brought to you by the CKH Network and sponsored by Augmedix in association with IPDC. We're truly grateful for all the other sponsors and everybody else who's contributed to this amazing show so far. This is day 7. Would you believe it already? When we talked to you last Saturday, it was day 1, and tomorrow night, it's all done. But it won't be done because this is not the end. This is only the start. This is the start for all of us. And we are all excited to be here. The network has worked tirelessly to bring more than 80 speakers from around the world, and many, of course, experts from within Bangladesh to this Next Gen Leaders Virtual Summit. And, you know, there has been panel discussions, there have been keynotes, there have been informative sessions within the student groups themselves from the different provinces. And today it's your turn, and today it's our turn again. And my name is Jan Robberts. We are a strategic partner from Key Leadership Institute in South Africa. I'm a coach, trainer, and speaker. I'm an owner of co-owner of Key Leadership Institute and founder of JR Speakers Club. And, you know, we do a lot of different things like speaking, training, facilitating, creating programs. We're also working with Bangladesh, with CKH Network, on an exciting new entrepreneurs program that we're launching. And it's going to be exciting, but that's enough for me. We're in South Africa just now, but I just want to bring on your first international speaker, and this is Miss Sabirul Alcaraz from the Philippines. Now,
hello,
Miss hello, Sabirul. It's wonderful for you to be here, and I know it's a few hours later on, even in Bangladesh. So by the time we're done, you're in the middle of the night. So thank you for joining us. But let me introduce Miss Sabirul. Miss Sabirul Alcaraz has been in the human resources and organization development profession for more than 25 years. Of course, she started when she was 3 years old. Exactly. She is the executive director she's the executive director of ITD World Philippines, a leading global learning and development expert, primarily focusing on leadership and talent development, corporate training and consulting, professional competency certifications, as well as mega events and conferences. She has previously worked at Dale Carnegie Training and Development Dimensions International. She is a master trainer of Thomas Crane's The Heart of Coaching, certified facilitator of the John Maxwell and Jack Cranfield program, a fellow JMT member, DDI and Dale Carnegie courses. She conducts leadership and management, coaching and mentoring, creativity and innovation, train the trainer and presentation skills, as well as other soft skill programs in Asia, such as Philippines, Cambodia, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam, as well as Africa, Egypt, Congo, Mali, Sudan, and South Sudan. She was the 2006 president of and 2012-2013 chairperson of the Philippine Society for Training and Development, the 2009 board secretary and conference chairperson of the People Management Association of the Philippines, and 2015 and 2016 president of Ardu International. Now, before I introduce her and give her the floor, I need to tell you I am so grateful, because this is the short bio. If the long bio had come, I would have need to ask for a half-hour extension to the show. But may I present to you our panel member from Philippines, Ms. Sabirul Alcaraz.
Thank you so much, Jan. Good evening, Bangladesh. Good evening to everyone who is viewing this. First things first, thank you. Thank you, Coach Kamrul, for inviting ITD for this largest career development summit. Jan, I think this is the first time that I've heard of an 8-day career development summit, and we are on day 7, isn't it? So yes, we're proud. This is really such an esteemed panel, and we're here to share with you what we know about public speaking and communication. You know, like Lee Iacocca of Chrysler, he says we can have brilliant ideas, but if we cannot get them across, your ideas won't get you anywhere. So my dear students and leaders, next gen leaders, This is really how critical public speaking and communication is. I'm excited as well to hear what the other panelists are going to say. Maybe let me just kind of end this first spiel with you remembering 3 P's. 3 P's that are critical for public speaking and communication. First P is preparation. Second P is positive attitude. And the third P is to practice, practice, and practice. So over to you, Jan.
And thank you very much. See, already you've had some amazing wisdom from an international speaker, coach, and trainer and facilitator. So, and there's a lot more to come. You know, I'm going to very shortly introduce the next one, but I just want you to like and share this, because I know it's day 7, but it's never too late to bring your friends into your fellow students, because they will have FOMO by the end of this. Now, they can always listen to it afterwards, but I mean, you already start talking in excitement about all the stuff you're learning, and it might be one thing. It might be one thing for you. It might be one thing for your fellow students. And the one thing is for sure, you won't hear it if you're not here. So I think, you know, like and share this, bring your friends in, and, you know, give them the benefit of all you're learning as well, because it's better to communicate about this afterwards together than trying to explain to them all the stuff you've heard. You know, so bring them in, and it gives me great pleasure now to bring in our next international speaker from the UK, Sabirul Islam. Now, and there he is. Welcome, Sabirul.
Hello there, Jan. Hello there, Jan, and hello everyone who's tuning into the Next Gen Virtual Summit. A pleasure to be here, and very excited about what's to come.
Yes, and so are we, and we are excited that you're with us as well from the UK. And I just want to give a little bit of background on Sabirul. It's an amazing background as well, the same as everybody who's here. Sabirul is a world-renowned motivational speaker who has empowered audiences the size of stadiums to as small as classrooms through his art of storytelling, drama, powerful vocals, and ever-glowing stage presence. Sabirul Islam is an international motivational speaker, author, and a corporate trainer. With over 14 years of experience in the world of business, speaking, and writing, he has inspired over 1 million people in 29 countries and published 3 best-selling books. His first, entitled The World at Your Feet, which he wrote at the age of 17. Now listen to this, 17. So you students, start writing and start speaking. He has been an ever-present motivational speaker, delivering talks and enterprise workshops at schools across the UK before going global with his Inspire 1 Million campaign. A speaking tour where Sabirul spoke to 867 events in 29 countries over a span of 4 years. Wow. Sabirul has a very strong and high-profile media presence, having directed and hosted 2 live TV shows, as well as featured on some of the largest newspapers, magazines, and media platforms around the world. For the past 6 years, his focus has also been on delivering corporate training to small and medium-sized businesses, with strong emphasis on self-development, leadership, sales, cognitive thinking, and emotional intelligence. Sabirul strongly believes in living life with purpose, value, and meaning. Living and breathing his motto, born to serve, live to inspire. I welcome Sabirul Islam. The floor is yours, Sabirul.
Thank you, Jan. Well, once again, welcome to everyone tuning in. Welcome, Bangladesh. Welcome, everyone around the world. And public speaking has been a big factor in my life. You heard just from Jan there that I got into writing from a very early age, from the age of 17. In fact, public speaking was a big element in terms of not only just promoting what I do, but also sharing a core message. A message that no matter what age, no matter what race, religion, culture you are, you all have an emphasis in what you wish to deliver through the art of storytelling. Because we all have a story to share, we all have a passion. And whenever you're speaking, whenever you're presenting on stage, it's all about emphasizing the beliefs, the values in which you hold, to the passion, to the desire, and to the devotion of who you are and what you wish to achieve. Because others will relate, others will emphasize and actually connect with you because of who you are. And when you're able to speak with that sort of emphasis, that passion, that desire, and the will, you'll easily connect with people who have that similar level of aspiration. And when you're able to do that, you build a strong, solid network. And public speaking plays a key role in how you're able to communicate, how you're able to build strong network, and how you're able to accelerate and grow your career. So that's it for now, but we'll talk a lot more about how you get there, what we do, and sharing all tips and advices with the young generation tuning in, so we can grow and help them support their public speaking skills.
Wow. Are you hearing this? Students, if you haven't brought your friends yet, bring them in, because we're only just getting started and already you're getting information, insights and wisdom from around the world, from the experts who not only read a book and thought they'll give a course on it. No, these are people who've walked the walk and talked the talk and are still doing this. So, join us. And already, if you have questions, start putting them in the comments box, because I will start asking the first few questions. But like the other sessions, you have so many questions. There is no such thing as a foolish question, because somebody once said it's better to be a fool for 5 seconds than to remain a fool for life. So if you've got a question that you want to ask about public speaking, about communication and everything that's around there, now is the time to ask, because there is another few experts coming in just now. So make sure that you join us and start asking questions, start engaging, and start bringing in your friends. So saying that, I have now the pleasure of bringing in my third person from Bangladesh themselves. Yes, we have from 5 different countries, and we could not leave Bangladesh out today. Of course not. So we have Muhammad Aman Ullah. Muhammad, are you there? I hope, yes.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Aman from English Olympiad. So nice to you all here today.
And thank you very much. And I want to present you as well. And Aman is Muhammad Aman Ullah, an entrepreneur and chairman of WOC and chief organizer in English Olympiad Global. And I did some research on that, and it's amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Mr. Aman believes in disruption. Oh, well, that's wonderful. He is also a teacher, social worker, the global organizer of World Orphans Day program in more than 100 countries, best-selling author of English Mania books by JAB Publications, and a speaker, of course. Last year, get this, 50,000 plus students participated in the English Olympiad from all over Bangladesh. Some of you might be listening in who are taking part of this and might even have got medals, because I believe more than 5,000 medals were distributed. I did my homework. English Olympiad Global is working now to organize English Olympiad in more than 100 non-native English-speaking countries. English Olympiad is a great journey with the motto of inspiring leadership. Now, next-gen leaders, you're in the right place. It is a global platform where many students are participating as competitors. They have 5,000 plus campus ambassadors in 100 countries. Almost 85,000 students participated in 2 seasons of English Olympiad. That was in 2017 and 2019. In the last 4 years of activities, English Olympiad tried to reach 20 million people, to spread the necessity of learning English to be the global citizen and to lead the world for a better tomorrow. A highly dedicated campus ambassadors team is active as leaders with conviction. Now, there were a few things that Mr. Ahmad left out, and I've just added them, because he is also a former keynote speaker at the Embassy of the Arab Republic of Egypt to Bangladesh, a former speaker at the Daily Star, and he also worked at Amnesty International UK. And of course, Mr. Ahmad has already taken part in some of the panel discussions earlier. Mr. Ahmad, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here with the great people. So this is very important. I'm not a good speaker also, but here I was invited to share my knowledge and other things. But I'm sure I can just learn a lot of things from here. But as I'm working with young leaders from Bangladesh, we have 5,000 campus ambassadors all over the world. So we are working with them. We are just making them global leader. So this is the fact. We have to practice this kind of things among our leaders. For example, I was just listening from Sir Ken Robinson from TED. He was handicapped. He was one of the most renowned professor of Oxford, Cambridge, and he is the education advisor to the Singapore government. So he was an handicapped, and I saw that body language is one of the most important part of any public speaking, and we know that this is very important, essential. But I was thinking about him, Sir Ken Robinson, who was viewed by 65 million people at TED website, not YouTube only, and he was viewed by people who are just interested to learn about education, but he was handicapped and he couldn't move his hands and legs together. So how he can manage delivering a speech in front of thousands of people. So it was a very intensive learning. Today, I would like to share this kind of learning for everyone who are here today. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much already for, again, you've already had 3 different speakers, 3 different experts, 3 lots of information, and we've only just got started. So, and I already see questions coming in as well. Thank you very much. It's really appreciated. I'm just making a note. And I don't know if our next expert is from Iraq, and he had some issues connecting. I hope he's here, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. Professor Himdad Abdul Muhammad, are you with us?
Nice to meet you all. I can see you. I can hear you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm glad you managed to join us. I knew it was going to be all right. And of course, I would like to introduce you first as well. And then if you have anything already to contribute, please do so after I introduce you. So Professor Dr. Himdad Muhammad is specialized in English language and linguistics from Salahaddin University in Erbil-Kurdistan region in Iraq. He has authored 7 books, published 28 academic papers, translated over 70 articles from and into English, Kurdish, and Arabic. He is a professional translator, interpreter, professional development coach, and trainer. He is the CEO and founder of MegaMind Plus Academy for Education. So, Professor Himdad Abdul, the floor is yours.
That's right. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Thank you very much for the co-guests. Thanks for Coach Kamrul Hassan for gathering us here today and along with previous days, because we are all lifelong learners. So we learn a lot from each other, from our students, from co-guests and hosts, and from everyone. Learning is an ongoing process as long as we live. Today, in this session, I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts of public speaking and communication. What should people do and what shouldn't they do? I will try to focus on others in this panel and in this session, and I'm ready for the questions after the presentation. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. And I hope the internet holds out for all of us. I've seen it going in and out a few times somewhere, and I don't even know whether it's me or anybody else. But we're optimistic as always. Yeah. Now I had some questions prepared, but already I see following on my phone that there is already some questions starting to roll in. And please, if you have questions, we've got 5 people. I'm from South Africa. We have from Philippines, from the UK, from Bangladesh, and from Iraq. So we've got a well-rounded global expertise for you today. And if you've got any questions, if by any chance you've got any specific questions for a specific panel member, please put it in as well. But otherwise, I will just select on random. We've already got quite a few questions here, so I keep my questions should I even need them. Now, of course, this is always a question, and we'll start with ladies first. And Azmira is asking the following question for Sarali. How can we improve our public speaking? How can we improve our public speaking skill? What are some of the basic things that we can do?
Okay. Maybe I can also go back to the 3 P's I mentioned earlier on. So the first one is, well, let's all of us, I think, overcome our fear of public speaking. I was also reviewing, Jan, the questions that I see in the comments, and I think quite a number of them is about overcoming our fear of public speaking. They often say that's the number 1 fear of people. Number 2 is death. So some would rather die than speak in public, you know?
That's right.
Because sometimes you get so, you rehearse it, you practice it, but when you're in front of the group, you forgot everything that you practiced for. So it starts with, okay, I'm gonna be good at it, So there's a lot of the mindset. That's why I mentioned one of the P's is having a positive attitude. So it's about embracing it. Many times I would also, we would have like butterflies in the stomach, right? They would even say, allow the butterflies to travel in one direction, so that, okay, I can do this. There's a lot of like there's a mindset to it as well. I think that before you go and, the positive attitude will come there, but kind of think of all your successes, not the failures. Be prepared and kind of think of, I have something to share to my audience, so come with that kind of a mindset. And obviously, nothing beats your preparation. Prepare and practice. Okay? Practice in front of a mirror. In fact, my recommendation to everyone listening, have you videotape yourself doing a speech, being in front of, maybe your audience could be the pillows in your room. So do that, like capture yourself on video, and you'll have a lot of insights how you project to the crowd. Well, those are just some of my tips on how to improve public speaking, Jan. Jan, can you hear me?
Thank you. All of a sudden, yes, I can hear you again. I hope everybody managed to hear you. Just at the last minute, you dropped out for me for a second, but thank you very much. And again, I hope that answered your question, Asmira, and anybody else who's got similar questions already, because there is a lot of questions coming in, which is wonderful. And there is another one which actually I've seen a few coming through now, and Rodji and
Jan, are you there?
He's also facing problem, maybe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
internal problem. So should we continue with?
Yes, if anything happens and everybody else is still there, I don't know. It might well be my internet this time. Sometimes it gets a bit unstable here, but yeah. So there was a question about shyness from Zarin and also Sunny Khan. I'll ask the question quickly. So, Sabirul, something about fear and shyness. There were a few questions coming in on both of them. Can you talk into both the fear and the shyness? Because the shyness, of course,
it's a very. Thank you, Jan. It's a very interesting question on fear and shyness. In fact, it's one of the core elements and the foundations in how to overcome public speaking. And I can give it from a very personal experience, because I myself am an introvert. I've spoken at over 1,000 events around the world, but yet I'm an introvert. I'm someone who's shy, who's almost closed away, locked up, keeping myself to my own self in my own bubble. And a lot of people, individuals, are often like that. When it comes to presenting on stage, they tend not to understand exactly what the process is, because they're afraid of what others would think. They're afraid of what others would say. And when you're looking at a large crowd, even if it's a group of 20, 30 people, to even hundreds of people on stage, you want to often keep yourself away from that and away from that spotlight. But what it does is actually being an introvert, being someone who's shy, being someone who is afraid, when you actually give yourself time to actually think about what assets do you hold, what values do you hold, what are the skills you have that the world needs to hear about. Because if you're presenting on a subject, on a topic that matters to you most, there are others who would deeply benefit from exactly what it is you have to say. So it's all about a mindset, a perception. that when you are able to express something, just like you're having a conversation with somebody, even when you are on stage, forget thinking about that. Yes, it's a formal presentation that you have to be suited and booted up for that. It's about having a conversation, a dialogue with the audience. And to overcome that, it's about finding a unique way, a perspective where you're able to portray your vision, your ideas, your message in a way that makes you feel comfortable. So for example, when I gave one of my first talks, being somebody who's shy and as an introvert, I couldn't stand up on stage and present. I had to be sat down. Now that in my way was nothing to do with the fact that yes, you always need to stand up to present, but I found a comfort. I found something that was able for me to connect with the audience. So I sat down, I spoke literally with just one single tone. I didn't go up or down, but I had a message to share and I wanted the audience to connect with that. And what's important for everybody to understand is that the key takeaway is not necessarily how you look, how you're presenting, but exactly what it is you actually are saying and the message in which you're saying, because the message is the key takeaway from the audience. And if you say it even with a soft tone and they can see vulnerability on stage, they love you for it. They connect you because they connect with you, all because they can see your innocence. They can see that you are somebody who might be nervous, who might be shy, but you hold a character and you've taken that one leap of faith to be able to share something which is valuable to them, whether it's a form of knowledge, whether it's inspiration, whether you're guiding them at something. And it's always important to remember that you hold something that other people might often want, need, and ask for. And you are the solution you can be that solution who can provide them that opportunity to learn something new. So if you feel shy, if you feel nervous, try and keep yourself away for a couple of moments and actually think of what is it that you have, what skills, qualities that you have that you can offer them, and then create that in a unique way that allows you to portray your message in the most comfortable way possible. There are many ways in which that can be done, but I think I'll come on to that during the course of the conversation. So I hope that answers the initial question.
I'm sure, like everyone so far who's answered questions, that it's more than over-delivered for the people. And again, as I go through the questions, I see already more questions being answered by that answer alone. So thank you very much for that. Now we'll straight on to the next question. And there was Soykot. He already had a question early on, and he says, I want to be a global public speaker. Do you have 5 steps for me that would make me a great public speaker? Aman, can you please speak into that, please?
Okay, thank you very much. This is a very important question, of course. Shaikat, you asked the question. This is very important. To be a global speaker or international speaker, of course, we have to be focused on our linguistic pattern, right? So as we are here practicing English, as we have to speak in English, if you are not a native speaker, of course, you have to focus on your linguistic improvement. But another thing is public speaking has a very important part of practicing all the time. For example, just here I'm showing my body language this way, right? So this is very important to show your body language whenever you are speaking to the people. So I see that I have an example in my home. I have a daughter who is going to be 5 years old on 3rd of August. She's Princess Jemima, and she always try to copy from YouTube some princess there available, and they are talking very smartly, and she would like to copy them. And she just in front of the mirror, she always try to make some hair with other clothes of her, and she made a very fantastic plan to make clothes with her own other dresses. For example, sometimes she take white hairs, sometimes she take red hairs. So she tried to make herself as a princess and try to say something in front of the mirror. And she always tried to record them in a mobile or a pad or in other ways that she has available at home. So she is now going to be a fluent speaker, of course. All the time she tried to speak with me, try to speak with her the mother, who is also a lawyer, and she tried to keep her continuing. And we are just trying to give her real perfection and inspiration to say more and more. And some days ago, she recorded almost 12 videos, and the video was long, and they are just disturbing because of the mobile battery, and the mobile was off, and still it is now sleeping. So it was an experience, and she is trying to keep them record. So Shoykot, if you want to speak for international audience, you have to focus on language. For language, I would like to suggest you to focus on this is very important, the IP, International Phonetic Alphabets. That is very important to catch the audience, right? So we are also improving them. Another thing is you have to practice all the time at your home in front of your mirror. Talking with yourself is very important, because whenever you are going to an audience, it will be a long time to have experiences to go the audience. Sometimes, as you talked about preparation, you have all the preparation, but you have no practice. You cannot do better. So that is very important to have practice at your home. Recording is the most important here. You can record your speech, and you can test them again and again. Another is, I always try to say, for the speakers, non-native speakers and native speakers, try to practice tongue twisters. Tongue twisters are very important to practice all the time. For example, we have many tongue twisters, right? True, red lorry, yellow lorry, red lorry, yellow lorry, truly rural, truly rural. That is very funny, but it is very fantastic to have your experiences to get oral exercises. And some exercises I talked in a session of communication masterclass that you enjoyed in the show. It's available, and we tried to give you the real exercise, 6 exercises of your mouth, lips and tongues, and yow. That is very important. So this way you can just develop the idea. Another thing is knowledge. If you have enough knowledge to say deliver, of course you can embezzle everyone. You can just crave everyone's attention. As I would like to say about Second Robert Robinson, that I would like to share after some time, because it's very important after listening from everyone. So thank you very much. And if you continue having exercise, having real pronunciation, that is very important. IP, International Phonetic Alphabets, that is very important. At the beginning of your learning, you can just put them in your study pattern, study ideas, then practice tongue twisters and record them like Jumaima all the time. Then it will help you very much. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much too. And I'm sure that also, hopefully that answered the questions. And please, again, there's more questions coming. Keep your questions coming. Like and share this, because your friends are missing out on a very important area, which we will have experts here that can answer all your questions and then some. And again, these people have been around the globe in different parts of the world. And keep asking. There is no such thing as a silly question. So keep asking the questions. I'm scrolling through them, and also it was Zarin who also asked. I'm an introvert, and how do I improve my public speaking? Now I already know that Sabirul has already talked into that a little bit. Sabirul talked into it a little bit, and I'm sure there's more coming. But there is a perfect example already. This man is an amazing speaker, and he was an introvert. So there is hope for every introvert around here, And Sabirul will no doubt talk into it more. I've got more questions coming my way, and I can hardly keep up, but it's exciting, and keep them coming. And there was actually 2 questions which go into this. Zarin asked a question about. And Nishat as well. It's about when public speaking, she talks about what facial expressions or body language help the speaker and what does not. And it was also something Nishat also asked into that about eye contact. So eye contact, body language, what will help a speaker and what does not. I hope it all works. Can we hear Professor Himdad Abdul Muhammad, please speak into this?
Yes, sir. At the beginning, I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts. So during publication, usually public speaking consists of 3 phases: pre-presentation, during the presentation, and post-presentation. So the question is, kind of related to during presentation phase of public speaking. There are some issues and some things that you should not do. These are called don'ts of public speaking. For example, it is always good to start with a story, but don't use other people's story. Try to have something personal, a personal story to begin with. So don't start with others' stories, start with your own story. The second, don't speak without passion. Try to add passion to what you say. You are not a robot, you are a human being, and you want human beings to be engaged with you. So speak with passion. Do not let your speech to be without passion. And never fail to prepare yourself. You have to don't try to imitate others. Be yourself. This is very important issue. Try to be yourself. Don't be somebody else's. Don't be an international speaker who people know. Just be yourself. And for eye contact, or the strategy of eye contact, very carefully, because you should not keep your eye on one side of the room. You can keep your eye on one side at a time, but you have to shift your eye contact every now and then from. And the other thing is that you should try to avoid reading a speech word by word from the slides. People can read, so they don't need you to read for them. Try to speak about the slides. Don't read the slides for people. Avoid these points and try to use eye contact, because eye contact will help you engage and will help you keep people to yourself, to keep them focused on your speech. That's what I can say for now, and I'm sure there are several other things that my colleagues can add up to this.
Wonderful, thank you very much, and I hope everybody's taking notes. I mean, if you listen to this, if you watch this and you're not taking notes, you're missing out, because there is no way you're going to remember all this. We've got more than an hour to go yet, and you're never going to remember all of it. And I would take notes, because also it helps memorizing. If you hear things, you remember so much, but if you write it down as well, there's more senses come into play, and you'll start to remember much more. Now, again, keep the questions going, keep them coming, because there is no such thing as a silly question. I will ask the questions, and I'm sure the panel will be delighted to answer them. And in a minute, we'll actually let the panel members just talk about something that's important to them. I will ask one more question just now, though, and that was Nishat, and he asked, which is more important, content or delivery? Sarah Lee, can you please talk into that?
Oh my, very tough question, because I would often say presentation is C plus D, content and delivery, so they kind of go hand in hand. Here is what I picked up, okay? If, for example, and I don't know whether my fellow panelists would agree with this, if there is technically, like, it's a shorter talk, okay, then I think delivery kind of matters a bit more, right? Because you don't have as much of a content anyway. So what you would want is kind of, bring that passion, the style of delivery, kind of, engage, in a sense, your audience, the vocal variety, the gestures, the facial expressions. But as the day progresses, as the hour progresses, then you go deeper into the content. People will see, it's all just fireworks. There's not as much content in there. So that's where I think the balance is. So ideally, you would need to have both. I'm just thinking that, I think aside from the content and delivery, if I may add, is also the authenticity of the person. You know, I would always go into, it cannot be just head knowledge. When I present, I really put my heart into it. And I think your audience can actually see through that. You know, that's my 2 cents worth, Jan.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. And I'm sure, again, it will be very helpful. Now, what I would like to do just now, we've lost somebody temporarily, I hope, our professor. What I would like to do just now is, and starting with Sabirul. Sabirul, just give us some insights. You've been a speaker for many years now, and you've traveled the world. I mean, the amazing set of speaking you did in 800 and I can't remember exactly the number, 867, something close to that. But I mean, it was an enormous amount of speaking. So with all the experience you've already gained, and even at your young age still, what are some of the things that you've come up with, and some of the advice you could give, just of your experience alone?
Well, I think everyone who wants to get into public speaking or even delivering an event, whether it's, for example, for the students listening in, delivering a session at university, it's feeling comfortable in terms of what the surrounding is, because there will be some who are speaking on stage for the very first time, and others who might have had some experience already. So I just want to give an initial first hand in terms of how to handle the nerves when you are on stage. And there's this whole thing about the pre-performance and during performance. And I think these are two critical elements. So when you are speaking, or when you're trying to speak on stage, the pre-performance preparations are critical and key. So for example, who is the audience? If it's external people attending the university and you're speaking and presenting, it's about knowing who they are. So the research in which you do, for example, you can do things, for example, network with the attendees. So you feel you've almost broken the ice with them. So it's not like you're speaking in front of a bunch of strangers for the very first time, but you've said hi, hello to them, and they've got to know you and you've got to know them. There's the second element about knowing and familiarizing yourself with the actual setting. So, for example, the stage itself, the seating plan, how you look, how you feel, or when you are standing on stage, when you go to the back of the room, what do the audience see? When you go to and stand on stage, what do you see? When you look left, right, and center, how do you feel about that? And making sure that you're able to practice on stage, because pre-event rehearsals are critically important, because when you stand on stage, you're actually giving yourself a dry run. So standing on stage, how would you feel at a certain point, 2 minutes into your presentation, when you're standing left of stage, right of stage, on the front? At least that way you make yourself feel more comfortable. And I think as part of my experience over the years delivering talks, if I did not have that opportunity to go on stage and to practice, even when there was 0 people in the room, I would feel nervous. And I think when you feel this whole nervousness in our belly that happens to each and every one of us, no matter how professional of a speaker you are, or even if you are beginning, everyone feels nervous. But to combat this fear element when it comes to speaking, it's about making sure you're able to adjust to the surroundings and making sure you practice as much as possible. So to fight that fear, initial fear, I would do as much rehearsal on stage, get to know myself a lot better, how I feel, know exactly where I feel most comfortable on the stage, and in which directions I can look to be able to say, yeah, okay, yes, I know if the audience is there, I would feel comfortable looking at them and in my right-hand side at this point in my presentation. These are small, minor things that play a big factor when you put it all together as part of the delivery. And I think when it comes to the duration during the performance itself, there was a question asked about body language, and I think one of the things you need to really take into practice or put into practice is being able to command the stage with, for example, power stance. Now, having a power stance, what does that actually mean? So you got your shoulders up, your chest out, your chin up. Those play a critical role. You take a deep breath in, and then you're able to almost feel at ease with yourself. And what that happens and what that does is allows you to actually be of more comfort when you are moving. So you're not stiff, you're not rigid, you're actually being more open and expressive. You give yourself a bit of a jiggle and you're able to say, yeah, okay, I'm now going to go on to my next key point, and I will move away slightly and I'll make sure I've got my shoulders up. So all of these small factors play a critical role. And there's one important aspect about vocals. I saw one of the questions also that was raised about vocals vocals. How do you express? How important is it to be able to leverage your vocals? And I say, me again, being this introvert person, I wasn't that person who was able to speak and express loudly or openly, but through practice and over time I was able to do so. But when you are this nervous person, I don't want you to close up, because the worst thing you can do is when you close up, your voice goes soft, your voice goes very quiet, and people often, perhaps in the back of the room, no matter how powerful the microphone is, they might not be able to hear you. So what you need to do is still be able to express certain key words that you want them to take away with powerful tone, with the element of pause. When you make an important statement, I want you to be able to pause so that the audience can absorb that. And when they absorb that, you give them at that moment to be able to reflect on that important point before you go on to make your next key point or go on to your next sentence. All of these play a key role in terms of how you use your voice, how you present yourself on stage, how you feel that openness and expressiveness to be able to use your body language to feel more free on stage. And all of these play a factor in how confident you are. So there's this pre-performance routine you need to go through in adjusting yourself with the surroundings and also your body language and power stance to be able to deliver with confidence on stage.
Wonderful. And I hope everybody who's here got all that. I mean, there's many on Facebook as well, and there's many people actually taking part in this. I hope you're getting all this, because this is pure gold. I mean, you might be reading a book, but it's never going to be the same as getting the experience from people who not only did it 100 years ago or 50 years ago, people who are actually walking the stages now. So take notes, and it's amazing stuff. And for you, Aman, what wisdom would you like to share with the audience in Bangladesh right now, and even around the world? There's many people from different countries joining as well. So thank you. Keep joining. We've got another hour ahead of us. So thank you for being here. Please.
Thank you. This is very important, and I wanted to share very important knowledge about Sir Ken Robinson. I told you sometimes people are sharing about body language. So whenever you have the body, you can show it, right? So if you have a body, for example, some handicapped people on the stage, so how it can be. This is impossible to show some kind of movement, right? So I'd like to share with you a man about, and you can take notes about Sir Ken Robinson. He's the education advisor to the Singapore government and also development advisor of Canada. So he's working internationally in many countries. So he's a professor, and he got the night. So he just delivered a speech about do schools kill creativity? So as a teacher, as a professor, Mr. Himdad also can connect it, because he was just telling about a girl who was drawing a picture, and the teacher asked her, what kind of picture you are drawing right now? And the girl said, I'm drawing the God. And the teacher said, nobody knows about the God. How you are drawing? And the girl said, people will know it within minutes. So this is very important. This is about confidence. The girl is drawing about a God, and she is just showing that I have the confidence. I can just draw about a God. So this is very important. Before going to deliver a speech, you have to have the bravery, right? You are going to people. So whenever you are on a stage or you are delivering a speech, you have to have the bravery. And before that, you can just take preparation. What kind of preparation? The words you would like to share, you would like to deliver in front of the people. Some amazing words can give you extra power. For example, if you can just make people funny with your humorous words, if you can make people laughing at the audience, then it will be connecting with you, right? So people would like to have some pleasure in front of the audience whenever you are sharing something very knowledgeable and funny. So knowledgeable and funny things can give you perfect attraction among the audiences. So I'd like to request you all to connect with Sir Ken Robinson. Yeah, you can just enjoy the video from TED website, TED.com. It will help you very much. He was handicapped, and he is now just an icon of education and school reformation. His best-selling book about school and guardians note is famous. And I told you about his 65 million viewers from TED.com is amazing. So he tried to connect with audience with his comedy words. Comedy word means whenever he was sharing about his boy, about his son, about his family members, and it is connected with the audience who are there. For example, today we are here, and this is the dinner time in Bangladesh, right? So I think the program will never provide us dinner. It's impossible. So sometimes this is very funny whenever you are sharing something, and it can help people to connect with you, because boring speech never give you correct connection with you as a speaker. So what he delivered on the speech, he wanted to deliver about the curriculum, about the education policy, about every ways we can focus on creativity. For example, nowadays we are talking about education, right? Education is important, and creativity is as much important as education, of course, because we are focusing on education, making people educated, but we are not giving them right way of creativity practice. So this is very important. And for example, in many countries now, computer coding is the most important part of kids education, and they're teaching it with scratching, and they are calling it coding for kids. But this is very important to focus on. Whenever he was delivering his speech about the education policy, he wanted to connect everyone with fun, and he delivered it. Just I was trying to share it. Sir Ken Robinson, Ken Robinson. So you can just know about him. He has legs, but he cannot move it very quickly. He is just like standby person, statue, and but the delivery is very important, and the knowledgeable words just vibrating everyone, and everyone was taking them, and this is very amazing. So whenever you are going to be a speaker, some people asked here that is my voice is important. Voice, sometimes I told you about English pronunciation, for every pronunciation, for Bengali, for your own language, for example, in Arabic, you can just practice your perfect pronunciation. If the pronunciation is correct, if the pronunciation is okay, for example, in Arabic, if the makhraj is okay, right, everything will be okay. That means your tone is your perfection. It's your style. Whenever you have the voice, Sabirul has one kind of voice, Sarali has one kind of voice, Jan has one kind of voice, Professor Himdad one kind of voice, I have one kind of voice. So the voice doesn't matter. Whenever you have the correct pronunciation, or you have almost correct pronunciation, you can just encourage everyone, encourage your own perfection, and you can develop everyone in front of you. So this is very important to have correct pronunciation of that language you are delivering speech. This is very important. On the other hand, I got a question here. They are asking about, is the public speaking can be a profession? Of course, many people all over the world delivering speech, and they are earning money, and we have example here, Sally and Sabirul also doing something for that, and they have an institution, they are selling books on public speaking and other things. So you can do that also. It has time to go in a perfection. And still I'm also learning here, and I just came here to learn from everyone here. So this is very important to have knowledge, and then you can be a good one or better one for the next step. So this is very important. Take notes of every presentation and things. Knowledge is important. If you have knowledge, and if you can just calculate them with correct pronunciation and style, then your tone doesn't matter. It will be acceptable everywhere. Thank you very much.
And again, thank you very much. Again, this in Bangladesh, this is one of your own. You know, we are from other countries, but this is one of your own people, and you know, if you should take notes from every single one of us. And I'm sure you've got your questions answered. And I look through the notes, and people are grateful for everything that they're getting at the moment. People are saying, "This is great. Thank you for answering my questions." They're really appreciative, and they're hungry for more. As my friend and mentor, I'm getting mentored by the one and only Les Brown, and he always says, "You got to be hungry." So I mean, if you and you are hungry, because first of all, you are all here with us. You know, people say, you know, this is free. There is nothing free. You might at the moment sit at home with lockdown and get all kinds of free information and watch all kinds of free webinars and all that. But if you don't need them, you're wasting your time. It's not free. You have invested your time to be here, and whether you're here for the first day or the 7th day or the 3rd day, it doesn't matter. You are here. That means you are the next generation leader, because to become a better leader tomorrow, you need to learn to become better today. And everyone here will say this as well in public speaking, as much as in presenting, in sales, in coaching and training. It's all about practice. It's all about being in the game, and you're in the game with your time at the moment. Sometimes you might have to invest some money as well, and I don't say spend money, invest money. And there's various ways in this will be done. We've got experts here who are selling books. I think most of us are doing presentation skills or speaking skills courses in a variety of ways. They're all shaking their heads as well. So you know, there is so much available, and most of it is at your fingertips now. I mean, it's becoming slightly different as we have to go online and present a lot online. We will talk a little bit more. The experts talk a little bit more into the difference between body language, tonality, and how the words are important. And you'll be very surprised. But that all changes a little bit when we have to go online. But I've got a question here. Taqiq Tamid. And before that, I need to apologize, because at some point I said Nishat. I said he, but I know she's a girl, so apologizing by the misunderstanding. I mean, for me, I'm most of the time I'm guessing if I don't see a picture, and I normally don't say he or she, because I have no idea. There are things we need to learn. But yeah, Taqiq Tamid said, "I feel very uncomfortable as my audience don't give me proper attention. How should I solve this?" Professor, could you talk into that, please? I mean, you're sideways at the moment.
Connected. Professor?
Okay, well, we'll come back to the professor. If you're as soon as you're he's coming back in. We'll just wait for 1 second.
Do you want me to talk? I can hear you, but I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, but if we can hear you too. So if you want to, did you hear the question? Oh, he's out altogether now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to the professor. Then in the meantime, Sarah Lee,
yes,
please.
yes,
What advice would you give? What advice would you give people just now who want to start speaking? Because there is a lot of questions about, you know, I want to start, and how do I go about it? What can I do?
Yeah, I think I want to piggyback on what we said about content and delivery, Jan, because I think I saw some questions, because I think much of the discussion has actually focused on delivery, right? Because we were giving tips on facial expressions, on the tone of voice. I want to kind of zero in as well on the content a bit, if that's okay, because also when you're starting, aside from really being able to develop all of those delivery and platform skills, well, we also need to work on our content. And I think there was one question that struck me: where do I start? You know, how do I structure my thoughts, perhaps? How do I structure my speech? Well, there are actually different ways on how we can structure it, right? So, for example, it can be time-bound. You can start with the past, present, and future. Okay? Past, present, future. There's another one, and an acronym called STORY, you know, because I know we all love storytelling, right? Having a story, then what is the message and what do you gain from it? So we call it sometimes SMG. The story, what do you pick out of it? What is the message? And what's your message? And what would your audience gain from it? So there is quite a lot. My suggestion, well, number one, take into consideration how much time do you really have for the talk. Lately I realized with all the webinars that we've been doing, I kind of prepare more if I only have limited time. Like if you only have about 30 minutes, right? Or 45 or even an hour, because you would want to ensure that your content actually covers what your audience would expect, what the objectives of that session really specified. But if I had longer time, then I feel like there's a little bit of breathing space, enough for you to engage your audience. So perhaps that would be maybe to answer also Jan's question, that what if you would see also disengaged members of your audience, and they are not kind of into the session, into your session. I can empathize. That could really be distracting. And I've seen some speakers kind of, you kind of lose a bit it can be your groove sometimes, or it can be your confidence, because you see some of them, they're talking to each other, they're not paying attention. Breathe, center yourself. What I would do is kind of focus on those who are engaged, those who are kind of nodding, and rather than keep on focusing your attention to maybe, because there could be different reasons why they might be distracted. It could be a telephone call, something else would actually be on their mind. So just kind of center yourself, focus on the message, focus on the majority of the audience, because you're actually talking to them, and stay as grounded to, this is my message. I am here to share something to my audience. And don't forget, my dear students and those listening, have fun, okay? Have fun. And when you are having that kind of fun, definitely it will translate to your audience. That's it for me, Jan.
I muted myself. But again, wonderful. And of course, that hopefully also answers Tamid's question. And I mean, this is wonderful. You can do so much, and you can look up so many books, but there is so much information from the different perceptions from different speakers around the world, and all coming together here, especially for you, brought to you by CKH Network, and of course, Augmedix, who sponsored this, and IPDC, who are associated with this whole program. So we need to thank the sponsors, and I mean, of course, my friend Kamrul, also a fellow John Maxwell team member. And he has, him and his team are not only have worked tirelessly behind the scenes and beforehand to put it all together, they are still working tirelessly behind the scenes and putting it all together. And it's amazing. There's still people coming in. They're still bringing in more speakers into the panel discussions. And yet tomorrow is the last day. But it's not your last day. This is just the start for you. You are the next gen leaders, and the more information you can take with you, because you'll hear more about how important public speaking and how important communication is. So, Professor, I would like to ask you a question about that. I'm just seeing who asked me that question. Mark Roxy Palma asked the panel, what is the relationship between public speaking and communication, and why is it important?
Yeah. We have to ask ourselves a question. A, is it to agree with us? Is it to, we have to know why. Because if you know the structure our say get. So a good speech should be clear, well-reasoned, articulate, thoughtful, compelling. what is, and it should be believable. So if it doesn't have any of these characteristics, how do you expect the audience to take it from you, to buy it from you? So they are very closely connected. It is not only in public speaking, it is in everyday conversation also. The way you deliver your message, your thoughts, your ideas will affect the success rate of the communication, whether you have got what you wanted or not. As we said, the aim is very important, the aim of any speech, whether it is public speaking or everyday conversation, whether it is
I take it the professor is frozen at the moment.
Yeah, I think the connectivity, Jan.
I want to give him a chance whenever he's here, though, because, you know.
Yeah.
I hope he'll come back. But in the meantime, just in case, if he comes back, he's gone altogether at the moment. Okay, then we'll move on just now. And now there is three. I know Aman will come back. He said he had I don't know whether he dropped out or whether he had to drop out, but he'll come back anyway. So anyway, we keep going. It's a live show. And Sabirul, there has been a question especially for you, and that's why I'm going to ask you. It's from Afsara Adiba. And also Zarin and Sunny Khan had a similar kind of question. So they would like to ask from you, what about our fillers and gestures in public speaking? And they also talked into ums and ahs and those kind of things. So what can you do about this?
Well, I've been a great victim of fillers. So all of these things come into play. To be fair, when you are new to public speaking, it's very much going to be a big part of you because you're slowly getting used to words. You're slowly getting used to how to present. The confidence is naturally growing. And with that, the only solution that it is with avoiding filler words is through practice. So with experience, you'll learn to be able to be more confident, be more potent in terms of how you deliver so you can avoid those words. So there isn't a magical solution that you can wave your wand and say, I'm going to get rid of these filler words. It's making sure that you have a structure. I think the simplest way is having a structure in terms of knowing what you want to present. And it's not about knowing it word for word. Like if you're writing a script and you want to actually know exactly from the first part of the speech, second part of the speech, and the third part of the speech, what it is you want to deliver, the more you feel confident in knowing the core aspects and the core elements of those speech, the less likely it is that in between the core message you want to deliver, you'll be using filler words because you know what is to come. You're not on stage, you're not improvising because you know the key points. And I think that's the best way in how to avoid using filler words. But again, all of this is through practice. So the more you practice, the more you give it time, the more you give this message you wish the audience to take away more value, then the less you'll have of this fear factor of, I'm using too many filler words to jump in and really solve this issue. So practice, it makes it perfect.
Jan, can I add something to that as well?
Yes, and
because I think for those who are Toastmasters, right? I think this is part of your counter, correct? Because they count the number of ahs. I used to be a Toastmaster myself, and I remember my first session. I told the counter, "Can you just put 50 there? Because I think I'm gonna have 50 ahs and ums." Okay, so it took a while. So I already made a deal, right? So it kind of took a while. I agree with Sabirul. It's really about practice. And I think I realized one more thing. It's about being comfortable with pausing, with stopping. I think the reason why we do we're not too comfortable with the quiet. So rather than hearing nothing, we'd rather go with and So my quick tip is just pause. Okay, it's okay. Your listeners are going to wait for you anyway. So just pause. And maybe a second tip is, can you observe yourself while you're talking to someone else one on one? It's most likely that you also have your uhs and ums even when you are just having a one-on-one conversation. All the more when you have your entire audience, and it's like I don't know what to speak, what to say first. So all the more the uhs and the ums come in. I am totally not out of the woods yet. My third point there is it's as mentioned, it's really through the practice. I remember one time I had like a master trainer, and what he does is that when all of us would say an ah or an he would clap. So kind of to your focus that that's an ah or that's an So eventually we thought there were quite a lot of mosquitoes there with all the claps that we've been hearing. But it does kind of set into your mode that, hey, I have been saying a bit of uhs and ums, let me reset it. Now when you're actually already in the speech and the conversation, it's okay, right? Let it go, because sometimes I don't want us so distracted with the uhs and the ums, and you get paralyzed and you're not able to share your content. So welcome back as
That's
well.
what-
Hey, hello.
Yeah, welcome
you.
back, gentlemen. And
And
I mean,
Professor.
Sorry, I'm
as,
sorry that I
as,
was absent.
no, we missed you, by the way, but we're glad you're back. And also what Sarah Lee said at the moment, I mean, I know there is some, I don't know how many Toastmasters clubs there are, but I definitely know there's Toastmasters clubs in Bangladesh as well. But also in your universities, you've got debating societies. You join them, and it's not about having one and an ah every now and then, because I did a 15-minute speech and somebody said you had two ums and an ah, and I thought whoopity doo. I mean, I'm human. But what I'm saying is about Toastmasters, though, it's some people start where to start. It is one of the most inexpensive ways to start. I never use cheap, because it's not about that, but it's one of the most inexpensive way. But if you want to develop, of course, the five experts here will agree with each other. We will agree with each other that somewhere you need to get more than just Toastmasters, depending how far you want to go. But I mean, it's an amazing platform, and there is, I think, more than 300,000 Toastmasters around the world. So it's a great way to start. But I want to make full advantage of the fact that we've got a professor here at the moment, and even internet. So, Professor, can you give us some
Yes.
of your experience and information about the whole thing about public speaking and communication, and how important it is, and what it's done for you? While we've got you here, at least, I want to make full advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm sometimes in and out. I don't know, maybe because of internet connection and networks, things like that. So I'll try to use the time as long as it's working now. We all human beings need some skills of public speaking, not only for teaching at the university, not only for business, but for our social life also. If you are not married, you cannot convince somebody to marry you, for example. If you don't have this skill to convince others that you are good enough for that person. So public speaking is not only for businesses and for teachers, skills of public speaking, because you are trying to impart knowledge. You are trying to convey knowledge to your students. If you don't know how to speak properly, if you don't know how to deliver what you have, then you will not be a successful teacher. So it is very good. I have summarized some tips for public speaking. So I want to seize this opportunity and tell that to our audience. What do they need to do in order for public speaking to succeed and for communication to succeed also? The first thing starts with the person himself or herself. He or she should be prepared to succeed. So this is the first step. It starts with a mindset. that you can succeed. You should be prepared to succeed. You have to say, yes, I can do it. Second, as my colleague also Aman said, you have to be able to say things correctly, especially in terms of the language, pronunciation, and things like that. So very important to say what you have correctly. The third thing is you have to overcome your anxiety. Cyril talked about fear at the beginning, or fear is number one. The fear of public speaking. That's the fear of speaking in public. So you have to control. We say it is okay to be anxious sometimes, to be worried, okay, but not over worried or over anxious that it will control you. So you have to overcome your anxiety. That's number 3. Number 4, it would be very important that public speakers work very hard on making first impressions. So the first impressions, you always have one chance to make the first impression. The first impression could be through your clothes, neat, cleanliness, professionalism, and several other things. But this is very important. You will have only one chance, not be able to, or might not give you a second chance. Number 5, you have to stand for attention. The way you stand while you talk, upright posture, confident in front of your audience. Not very shy, not too granted, not be artificial. Your feelings, the way you do should be very natural, because people and the audience will know what is natural and what is not. So just act naturally. And as I said, if you were hesitant, just slow down or just keep silent. Silence brings confidence back. This is very key to public speaking. The other thing we talked about is may with one side of the venue, try to change it, and it would be always good to keep the audience with yourself, with your body movement and gestures. Number 8 is show your feelings, show your passion. And it is always good to start with a big smile. A big, true, honest smile, not fake smile. Just a smile that you are ready, you are among friends. That will also boost your confidence. Number 9, some people talked about voice, and make yourself heard, especially when you are talking to a large number of audience. Make sure that your voice, the volume of your voice, is heard at the back seat. And finally, I say, silence your distractors. There are some distractions, like, for example, your cell phone, your own cell phone rings. You have coins in your pocket, for example, swaying from side to side. These are all distractors. Try to avoid them. Try to silence them. The last 2 points, Jan, if I have my just 1 minute more, is that for public speaking to succeed, you have 3 P's. Cyril talked about 3 P's. And I say also 3 other P's maybe, is that you have to prepare, you have to practice, and then you present. Prepare, practice, present to guarantee your success. Last 2 points, know your audience. Try to know your audience. Who are they? Are they university students? Are they businessmen? Are they ordinary people? So based on your knowledge of your the diction, the vocabulary you use in your talk, the examples you give, even the story you bring for starting. based on the audience. And I think one of my colleagues, panelists, also said, you have to know your
You're just trying to get the words. Thank you. Internet problem.
Sir, you can do this.
Cool. Hello.
Yeah,
No.
I think.
Yeah, very
That's it. But I mean,
fantastic.
at least they gave him the opportunity. I'm
It
glad
was
we did.
amazing. It was amazing, and he was just trying to connect internet. It's not in his hands because of
No.
country's internet or a local internet, maybe.
And it's another thing which we always, I just did 4 days of presentation training, and I thought this is one of the things. Sometimes it's not in our hands, but if we can have a backup somewhere, but at least if you can have
This is the funny of our session, right? So it was fantastic. No problem.
Yes,
Take
and
it easy.
I mean, thank you very much. And then I've got a question for Aman, please. And where is it? Oh yes, by Mohammed Al Ghalib, and he says, "Is a lack of English a barrier for excellent public speaking in Bangladesh, especially?"
Yeah, in Bangladesh, this is a great problem because people always try to have some English among Bengali words. For example, some sentences. Whenever I took more than 500 sessions in our country, in Bengali and English together, because audiences always try to have this kind of session fantastic. Whenever you can you talk with them for a long time in English continuously, sometimes they leave and they feel bored. So we try to decorate our sessions. For example, I took sessions of thousands of people, and with many other guests, fantastic guests. They are far better than me, and so I took them there. And it was like whenever we talk with our audience, they always try to have words mixture. Mixture means they would like to have some English sentences. So what I do, I always try to have divided our sessions in many ways. For example, in Sylhet, we took a session of 1,500 people in the morning, 1,500 people in the afternoon, 2 sessions. So they all came in the workshop, and we had fantastic speakers there. And in Mymensingh, we had 2,800 people in one session. And we had to divide for some other causes because it was very disturbing for a big session, of course. So we tried to have a connection. For example, whenever I start at the beginning of speech, I try to say something to connect people. And I always try to teach them some words in the session, as it was English session, international communication skills workshop, or that kind of sessions. So people came here to learn, and we tried to give some words to pronounce together. For example, I taught a word called supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. This is a big word, and it was 34 letters there, and I tried to pronounce them all together with me, and everyone is active there. And then I try to put some stories in front of the people, stories from our English Olympiad team, stories from our other stories. So people feel connected whenever you say something in the middle of the speech, telling the stories perfect in our country. So you have to know whom you are talking about and whom you are talking to, right? So this is very important in our country. Connecting audience is very important. Sometimes I try to figure something, for example, showing some body language, the importance of vision. There is a video of mine also in YouTube at Dhaka Live. So this is connecting people, and they feel that, oh, This is fantastic. And sometimes here in our country, you have to have connect people from the audience. For example, calling some people on the stage, or giving something from the stage, and or just going there and connecting people. This is very important. So I can see some big speakers internationally. They always try to connect people. The audience is very important. For example, I took sessions some days ago, communication masterclass, and I wanted to get their comment on live, and I tried to have them, and I told them to write there, and I provided some comments there, and our team helped me. CKH helped me to provide them. So this is very interactive, and we are also taking a session at entrepreneur session for some entrepreneurs. 150,000 entrepreneurs. I have a session tomorrow with them, and it's seventh episode. So they are learning from stories as I'm giving them work virtually. I'm just giving them comments, and they are answering, and that is very important. So whenever our public speaker, based on country, why I'm saying so, because the nature of people in our country, the nature of people in Philippines or UK are not right. So whenever you have the people who want to be connected and interacted with you, you have to give some word on the session. So some days ago, maybe Kamrul Bhai can remember, I went to a Canadian university to have a session, right? So I wanted to connect with them. So I provided them an English Olympiad medal, some books of English Olympiad, some mugs of English Olympiad, and I asked them questions. Then after the session, they remind me, where are the gifts? Okay, so they were waiting for the gifts. It's very important, and who are going to be speaker countries like us. So they have to have some techniques, tricks, and the ways what people you are talking to. That is very important. So these way and these techniques can help you. Some stories like old stories, some stories from the politics, some stories from literature can help you to connect with your audience, because at the middle of your speech, for example, if you're talking to the youths, they would like to have a story of Narcissus, right? Because Narcissus is called the god of love. So whenever you would like to ask them, have you ever heard about the Narcissus? So I'd like to share with you, he is the god of love. Whenever you are just pronouncing the word, he is the god of love, everyone will be attentive to you, what he is going to be. So then this is very important. So this is in your hand, what kind of materials you are preparing, and you are going to the people. Who are the audience? What kind of audience are there? You have to interact them. This is very important. Another thing is practice. You Jan said about Toastmaster International. Why Toastmaster now? We have CKH here. CKH has the platform. So why not CKH providing a speakers platform? Of course, that Toastmaster is a good one, a best one. CKH will provide them a platform to talk, and they can they can make it interactive. They can just plan about international communication things, for example. But we have Toastmaster here in Dhaka, so in Chittagong also. So we can just. So this is very important, and I'd like to give the floor to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And again, I hope between the professor and Ahmad, you all took notes as well, because all these different points from all the different speakers. And somebody actually, I want to, before I give it to Kamrul, now somebody said, is an accent important in English? And I thought, well, if you're Sean Connery, you can talk like Sean Connery every single day. It's very important. But I mean, if you haven't noticed already, I think all of us have got an accent. I mean, I don't think I've got an accent and everybody else has got one, but The accent is certainly not important. But some people think it's important that you can say mesh, money, penny, and then wear a kilt with it at the same time. I've done that before as well. But accents, everybody's got one, and it's not about the accent. It's the way you present, and there is much more to it. But hopefully we'll have a little bit more time because there's a few wonderful questions. But Kamrul has got something very important to say at the moment.
Yeah, because I think what's important is having the ability, because one of the key things that I wanted to cover, and I think there was also a point and a question raised about that, and I just wanted to wrap up with it in terms of opening a speech, and especially the background research that has to be done, because when you are going into delivering a speech and you're talking about making an impact, I think one of the core aspects is knowing the outcome of your intended outcome before you actually even go on stage to present. So whenever you're planning a speech, if it's for a university session, if it's for a debate, if you're going off campus to deliver a session somewhere else, is having that ability to see the change you want the audience to experience. And that gives you your clear objective, and then you're able to go away and exactly prepare a speech based on that clear intended outcome. But when you're actually looking into the research element, into how to write up a speech or how to, which sort of subject to talk about, there's something I call the triangle formula. And I think it's important for me to echo this as part of the background research. There are three elements to this. One is yourself as the speaker. The second is the subject in which you're actually going to be presenting. And third is the audience. So whatever you as the speaker, when you connect with you and the subject, how well informed are you about the topic of conversation or the topic of discussion or the topic of presenting that you'll actually speak about? Because you don't want to be somebody who doesn't have enough knowledge or somebody who only knows very limited, because it's important to understand that you need to be thoroughly educated in the topic in which you're going to be speaking about. So that involves the research beforehand. That involves making yourself be up to that level to be able to share that information and knowledge with others. Now, when you're looking at from yourself and the audience, so speaker and audience, how much do you know about the audience themselves? What is the background research you've done on the audience? What do the audience know about you? So that creates a relationship beforehand so that you're able to add some form of value. And then the final element is about the subject and the audience. How much does the audience itself know about the subject in which you're presenting? And why this is so important is because you don't want to be speaking about a subject that the audience is already an expert at. So, and if you are, then what is the value add? Why are you presenting there? Should they even be your audience? So these are the questions that will hit you as part of your background research. But if you are speaking about a subject to an audience that the audience already knows, then it's important to be able to add a unique personal twist to that, an angle, your own perspective. Perhaps you've done research. Perhaps you have your own sort of background knowledge and idea that gives this sort of unique element to the audience that creates this value in which you're adding to the audience. So whenever you're preparing a speech, I want you to go away and think about exactly, before you even think about writing your speech, your clear objective in which you've set out, and having that triangle formula in mind so you know who you are as a speaker, what do you know about the subject, what do the audience know about you, and do the audience, how well educated are the audience about the subject in which you're performing. That allows you to then create that essential element so that you can achieve your overarching objective. So I think I just really wanted to get that out and across, because the importance is that a lot of people go onto stage without that pre-preparation. And when you are trying to speak and emphasize on a point without having that background research done, you're going to not be able to deliver an effective message, no matter how confident, how well rehearsed you are in delivering it, because your core intended outcome is to make some form of difference. Because as a speaker, your goal should be to serve. Your goal should be to make some form of change for the audience to experience, because they've come into the event with a particular mindset, with a particular knowledge, with a particular understanding. Now, you delivering a keynote, you delivering a presentation, you want them to leave this event with a completely different way of thinking or a much improved version of what they already know. And that's the value add you give as a speaker. So I want each and everyone who is listening in to actually give that a lot of thought before you actually go and start writing up your own speeches.
Well, that's again absolutely wonderful, and people, I hope you're getting all this.
Muted, my friend.
Thank you so much, Ian. And I actually learned a lot today. I was taking notes. I believe everyone, those who were listening, I think you must take a note. And if you did, good news is you will get a book. If you submit the summary of 10 sessions, you'll get a book of a life-changing certificate and a crest. And if you're champion into this category, we're calling it knowledge seeker, super achiever knowledge seeker. If you're champion, you get 5 life-changing books, championship certificate, championship crest, and 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you get 5, 4, 3 books. And we will invite you for Facebook Live as well. We'll introduce you for others. Yes, this guy is a champion knowledge seeker, and I will give the champion a coaching session for habit changing for your career too. So that's one. And tomorrow coming up, big day, as you know, that closing is very bitter sad and moment as well. But tomorrow we're going to celebrate. Definitely we're going to celebrate with something. So our celebration would begin from 11 a.m. Tomorrow I've got 5 sessions. Our celebrations begins at 11 a.m. until midnight, 1 a.m. And it will be run by a student as well. We're inviting all the participants from student. If you want to sing, if you want to dance, if you want to make some fun, jokes, debate, that's yours. Cultural night coming up tomorrow. So don't miss it. This is your platform and you will run it. Students, they will host this program 11 p.m. onward to midnight. You go crazy, the floor would be open for you. Thank you for this cultural show. And yes, please remove the screen. Fantastic. And what else? What's coming up tomorrow, right? You all need to know. What are the sessions tomorrow? Let's watch the session schedule for tomorrow's last day. Very exciting and wonderful setup as well. The speakers coming from. I think tomorrow we got the highest number of speakers, starting from the ex-governor of Bangladesh Bank, who is going to begin, giving welcoming speech. He's very enthusiastic about it. Ex-governor of Bangladesh Bank, Dr. Atir Rahman, opening the session and welcoming speech. And then mindset. We're having international panel, truly, from US, from Africa, and various parts of the world. And then money show. What's going to be the money in industry? So we're bringing the bank's managing directors and the chairmen into that show. What's going to be the economy after the pandemic? And of course, your job is matter, right? So we are bringing 3 powerful chief human resources officers from the nation, Robi and Bikash, the largest mobile financial servicing company in the world. So Bikash, so their chief human resources officer coming up, and the Citigroup director HR coming up. So 3 director of HR coming up, because we're going to do something different for creating jobs for you. So what next? What are you waiting for? And after that is, closing ceremony, where we're going to invite all the patrons, all the sponsors, well-wishers, strategic partners, everybody coming and join at 10 p.m. onward. We're going to celebrate a bit. We have to, right? And then cultural night. Are you excited, everyone? I hope so. And right, because it should not be end. I feel really like, let it be continue, but we have to end at some point. But right now, quiz, next 10 seconds for you. Please jump into answer A, B, C, D. Let's bring the quiz computer march in front of the screen. What body language shows you are listening? Looking away, A, nobody, nodding and making eye contact, B, looking out of window, C, none of the above, D. Just type in A, B, C, D. If you're confused, put A, B, C, D 4 times, 4 letters. It to do, right? The fastest 10 responders will get quiz master badge and certificate. All right, time is over. Quiz. Fantastic. So over to you, Ian. Thank you so much for giving me the floor.
Yes, and thank you, my friend Kamrul and the CKH Network and the entire team in the background as well for everything they are doing and have been doing and will be doing to ensure the next generation leaders in Bangladesh will be properly equipped for leading the country into prosperity. And I've got another few questions, but we're slowly running out of time. And I also know that Sarah Lee is at the moment nearly at 1 a.m. in the morning, I believe. I mean, it's after midnight for Sarah Lee, and she's still smiling and still wants to deliver. Yeah, and still wants to make sure that you get value from this. And if you haven't had value for the last 2 hours, that means you haven't been listening. Because I got value out. I mean, I think every one of us has been practicing this and training, but every day is a training day. Every day is a practice day. Les Brown always says it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. And so if you prepare your speeches, everybody's talked into it in one form or another as well. If you've prepared and you practice it, whether you practice it in front of the dog and in front of your family, you can record yourself and play it back and show it to other people. There is so many things that we can do to get better at this. And communication is key. Our friend Les Brown, our other friend and mentor, John Maxwell, and we heard about stories. Now we actually, during my presentation skills, I dissected a story, one of his stories, which we've done in the team as well. And it was a 90-minute keynote he had, and only 13 minutes. And if you don't know who John Maxwell is, he's the #1 leadership expert in the world and one of the highest paid non-sports and non-celebrity speakers in the world as well. But we went and dissected one of his speeches, and only 13 minutes out of the 90 were actually teachings. The rest were anecdotes, stories, and all that. But as long as when you tell a story, you make a point and and tell a story, because people love stories. Now, I've got another few questions. I hope the panel are going to be with me for a little bit more. And I will promise not to go too long. But there is so many stories. I mean, I've got questions after questions written down from here. But there's a question for Sarah Lee at the moment, and it's from Sophia Janat. What's the difference between a speaker bio and an introduction? I thought it was quite interesting a question.
Jan, you really selected the question for me, right? Because the longer version that you gave, that's a bio, okay? I sent him something and we were laughing about it. So a speaker's bio is really quite a lot. An introduction is something that obviously would be shorter. And let me give you this tip. I think I picked it up from my days at Dale Carnegie. We call it, when you're introducing a speaker, there's an acronym called TIQS. TIQS. T, start with the topic. What will the speaker talk about? I stands for the importance of the topic. Why am I going to listen? Right, to the message, to the speech. Q stands for qualification of the speaker. And take note, when we're doing qualifications of the speaker, I hope it would be qualifications that would be related to the talk, right? Because sometimes that's why it becomes a speaker's bio, where you have the whole list of qualifications that might not be as relevant, my suggestion for you is that you might want to, if you're tasked to introduce a speaker, you might want to align with the speaker, like what would be something you would want me to include when I introduce you? So that would be Q, qualifications. And then the S, we end with the speaker's name. You know, what I do when I introduce speakers, I don't mention their name yet. Maybe put it at the back if you can, so that there's a bit more impact. So remember TIQS, topic, importance, qualifications, and then the speaker's name. I hope I added value to that, Jan. Over to you.
I am sure you did. I am sure. I mean, every one of you adding value every time you open your mouth. I mean, it's amazing. And even when you don't open your mouth, the fact that if you don't notice that people, when one of the other speakers is actually talking, we are sitting here shaking because we fully agree. And you know, I take notes as well, because we don't know it all, but together we know a lot more. And it's powerful to have such an amazing international panel here. So I have another question for the other members as well. And then afterwards, if there is one thing you can actually, afterwards I'll ask you all one thing that you can leave the audience with that are really powerful, impactful. But I will ask the other three another question each. And I begin with our professor while we still got him online, because we're grateful for that. And it was by Sabrin Biswas, and she asked, any field where we really need to be very good at public speaking, or is it, and Asmira asked as well, a similar kind of question, or is this for all sectors? But is there any field where it's really more important, or would you say it's important all around? What is your opinion?
Sorry, Jan, can you repeat the question? I couldn't get you. The voice was breaking to me.
Sabrin Biswas and also Asmira, they asked a similar kind of question. Is there any particular field where you really need to be very good at public speaking, or is it for all fields, for all areas?
I think public speaking covers all areas and all fields. There is no specific field. Maybe it's about the frequency of public speaking. Otherwise, it applies for all the fields.
Yeah, and thank you. I mean, it's a simple answer, but as I said already to the people, that
what changes?
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe what changes are the way you introduce the stories, the examples are related to the type of audience and the topic that or the field that you are presenting about.
Indeed, and Sabirul talked into that as well. And again, as we all know, there is no silly question, because obviously it's something you wanted to know, even though the answer might seem quite simple. If you don't know the answer, it's not that simple, but now you do know. Then, Aman, I've got another question for you as well. Omi Hassan asked, actually, he asked two questions, but he said, how to manage time when giving a speech or presentation? And what will I do with my hands while giving a speech?
Sorry, I couldn't catch you.
Oh, okay, sorry. Omi Hassan, he asked a double question. Really, he says how to manage time when giving a speech or presentation, and what to do with my hands when I do give a speech or presentation.
Of course, time management is very important whenever they have. So what time you have, and sometimes we have to deliver or provide or pass sleep to the speaker. So this is very odd, and sometimes if it is competition, you have to be careful about it. And if it is your presentation to people who invited you, this is embarrassing for them. So you have to be careful about it. And sometimes you should just divide your time, what kind of things you are going to share in front of the people. So this is very important. And this time management is can give you a value of yourself as a speaker. So whenever you are going to present yourself, your time management is the presentation. So this is important. Another thing is whenever you have topics, so you should make it valuable, what kind of topic you are sharing with them. So study is important before going to presentation. So this is your homework. you have to study at home what you should do. So I studied today only about Sir Ken Robinson because I wanted to share about him. I thought it was only 1 hour session, so it's a big session. It is very, very valuable and knowledgeable. Of course, everyone is sharing. So and this is very important. Whenever Sir Ken Robinson has only 15 minutes to deliver his speech in front of a huge gathering, all the professors, all the educated people in front of him, he wanted to make it very precise and valuable with some funny words. So time is important, and you have to focus on your audience, what they are looking for. Sometimes if you cut long time, another speaker will lose the time. So this is very important, and we should be careful about our wit. That means what you are going to be next. Sometimes taking question is disgusting at the end of the session. Disgusting. Why? If your session is not fantastic, the time is limited, you are taking questions, means it is embarrassing to all the audience and the people who are arranging the programs. So we should be careful about it. That is very important, and sometimes it makes a value. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much again. You know, I mean, we're just over time. We're going to have a few minutes more at least, but I hope you're all getting this. And if you have bring your friends, like and share it. At least get them attached to these kind of programs so they can watch the recording afterwards. So make sure you actually like and share it, because this is 5 people from 5 different countries giving you advice on public speaking and communication. And the last question, and then we do the round robin for our last point, is for Sabirul. Sabirul, there was somebody who asked me asked a question, and since you, I mean, all the experience you've got as well, and the fact that you are not only as a public speaker trainer, but also a public speaker big time, Sabrine Bis was asked how to take a career in public speaking or use it for building a career.
That's a question which is very relevant in terms of what I'm currently doing at this moment in time, which is educating and harnessing the growth of individuals who want to turn their passion or their aspiration for public speaking into a lifestyle profession. So what I've done is I've actually created what's called Build Your Confidence on Stage, which is an online portal and a platform that's able to showcase a lot of courses that harnesses your capacity and growth as an individual speaker into a lifestyle profession. But how this is, you're able to grow and become a professional speaker is you're looking to exactly forming initially what's called credibility. So you're looking into how credible of a speaker you are, or how much of an influence you are in the area in which you're an expert at. So looking into your exact area of expertise, are you seen as a person of influence? If you're not, then you need to work on your initial stance in order to actually create or become a person of influence, so that you're able to form that the essential element to become a leader in the topic in which you're presenting. So let me give you an example. I talk a lot about leadership. I talk a lot about self-development. I talk a lot about entrepreneurship. So when I want to set up a lifestyle profession as a public speaker, I needed to make myself a category leader in those areas. So whenever somebody thinks about booking a speaker like myself, that they know that my name would be at the forefront of that. Especially when I talk about financial education, when I talk about entrepreneurship, they will go on and search for it and my name would pop up. So you become a credible source as an individual. You create your own speaking model, but to become a professional speaker, there's also a business element behind it as well. Having your own sales cycle, you know, the journey in which you're going to take an individual from exactly when they hear about you, from lead generation, from actually the point of booking, what is the process and what is the value add you're going to give. And it's always about giving value as an individual. So public speaking has multiple engines. And when I talk about engines, I'm talking about, yes, it's not just about speaking and delivering a talk and saying, yes, you've landed an engagement and you've delivered and empowered your audience. But if you actually want to become a lifestyle speaker, you have to have a business wing behind you. You need to have a supporting element that allows you to generate as many leads as possible about the interest in which you're talking about, and have an audience that actually wants and needs that topic or needs to hear somebody like you speak on stage. You're able to build a brand around that. You're able to say that, yes, you are the go-to person for somebody to be able to book you as a speaker. and then you build your sort of social media platforms. You have as much engagement. You have your supporting products. Like for me, I wrote my first book at the age of 17. I got into public speaking, became a professional speaker at the age of 17. But I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have an information product at hand saying that, yes, this is what I do, why I do it, and this is what I want to encourage and empower individuals to learn from my topic of conversation. So you're making a difference. You're willing to serve. So that's why my motto at the beginning, which Jan shared, is my biography, is born to serve, live to inspire. So your initial intent is to be able to serve them. When you're able to serve your audience, then you're able to have this sort of belief and this sort of approach that, yes, your goal is to serve, and then you think about the business element behind. But that should always be in the back of your mind, that if you want to become a lifestyle profession, as a public speaker, there are multiple segments that you go in. And in fact, on the 5th of August, on Build Your Confidence on Stage, so if you go onto the Build Your Confidence on Stage website, from the 5th of August, there'll be a course online, which allows you to at least get the initial foundations of how to get into public speaking. And then in December, when the book launches, the Build Your Confidence on Stage book launches, there'll be a course that comes out with that in terms of actually harnessing your ability to go from a lifestyle, individual who's aspiring to become a speaker into having a lifestyle profession as a public speaker. So I will take you through that learning journey, provide the coaching and mentoring so that you're actually able to set up your own public speaking venture going forward.
Wonderful. Again, what a way to finish. And we're not quite done yet, because everybody's going to get bring one idea, one thing that they would like you to go away with, apart from everything that you've already got. And I'm sure you must have feel that you've had enough information about public speaking, about communication. But wait, there's one more thing from every speaker here before you go, and then we'll wrap it up, because we're talking about being on time. We have to respect the time, but we've gone a few minutes over. I still see the questions coming in, but we can't answer any more questions now. But at least start talking about it, have the discussion, and connect with the people. Everybody has got a Facebook page, everybody's got a LinkedIn page, everybody's got social media. Connect with each one of us. We are available, we are reachable, and connect with us, because we will all willing to support you on your journey. But now, for our last round, Cheryl, what would you like to give your audience as a last lesson of wisdom?
Start strong, and strong, right? I think if there's one topic that I would really also want to share with all of you, come up with, powerful openings as well as memorable closings. I call them like my bookend. I would really plan how I'm going to open my talk, and by a quotation, by a story, by a quick anecdote, by complimenting my audience. Start strong, and then at the same time, because you're starting strong is your first impression. At the same time, when you're going to end it also powerfully. That will be the last impression that your audience would have. It can be, if you started with a question, then you end with an answer to that question. Start with a quote, end with another quote that is just as memorable. So start strong and end strong.
Thank you very much for that wisdom. Start strong and end strong. Professor, what one thing would you like to leave our audience with today?
Okay, it was a very productive, fruitful learning session for me also. I have learned a lot from you, Jan, in running and moderating the that's to take this opportunity and intend to deliver public speaking. They have to attend public speaking also, so they learn from others' mistakes. It is a kind of rehearsal to them. And the last 2 points is that when you deliver a public speech, you have to keep a balance between the focus on the message and on the medium, because sometimes you forget yourself while you are delivering. So you have to keep that balance between the message, the content in one of the questions, and the medium that you are delivering. And look at any public speaking experience as gaining experience for yourself?
Oh.
I say use it or lose it. So if you have a skill, use that skill. Otherwise, you are going to lose the skill. Thank you very much for the chance.
And thank you too. Aman, please. What's the takeaway of you?
Thank you very much. My last words should be the thank you, everyone, especially the Jan. You have done a lot, and you're working very hard, and you got a lot of sessions also. Maybe in your home, another speaker I can see in the picture. So behind you, so you are doing great for our young generation, our young leaders. So this is very warm thank you to you, especially all the speakers here, Sabirul and Shirley and Professor Himdad. Thank you very much. We got fun together, and it is also a learning session for me. Special thanks to CKH Network for the collaboration and partnering. All the audiences who are watching from any part of the world. So I would like to say thank you. You are great people. Just enjoying our show. Thank you very much. And a special thanks to my family also. They gave me the time to talk here. I have two young kids. They are just trying to chirping and came to me again and again, and that's why I had to go. And they offered me banana and other things as I'm working here. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you too.
It's a great session. Thank you.
And thank you too. Sabirul, one last thing.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo a few things that also Sarah Lee and also Aman said. For first and foremost, thank you to Coach Kamrul Hassan and everyone, and also to yourself, Jan, for hosting this wonderful session. But I just want to leave a very important point, especially because it's an audience in relation to Bangladesh. Now, I've delivered a lot of talks in Bangladesh myself, and one of the key things I've noticed in every talk I've delivered is that a lot of people will start a presentation by thanking everybody. They will start thanking the honorable guest. They will start thanking all these in attendance. And for me, you are the center of attention. You are the person in the limelight. The MC has already introduced you. Go in from the get-go. You don't need to be able to thank everyone who's in present. So what I want you to do, if you have an upcoming speech or presentation, is to start off with something like a hook, a great simple statement you can make. For example, a statement hook is a great example. For instance, one of the things that I talk about when delivering a talk, the first moment I would step up on stage and say, free education should be made accessible to every child in the world. Now, that's a statement hook I use for a topic or a speech I talk about, which is in relation to virtual learning and education and the enhancement of technology and how that's had an impact on learning around the world. And or if you want to open with a question, one of the key questions I ask is about, it's called, when you leave this world, what will you be remembered for? And what that does is hooks your audience, and they want to listen more because it connects with the body of your speech. And all of this is so critical to be able to engage the audience from the get-go, rather than saying, I am Sabirul Islam, thank you for coming to this event, and it's a real pleasure to be here. You're going to bore the audience from the offset. And Sarah Lee said about powerful closings. And just to add to that, powerful closing is so important. Give your audience a call to action. Where do you want them to go? What do you want them to do? What is your call to action? Is it a website you want them to go to? If it's a fundraising activity you want them to donate to, what is it that you want your audience to take away, and what do you want them to do? So always have a call to action at the end of your speech. So start strong, end strong, just like Sarah Lee said.
Wow, what a way to finish this. I mean, how much advice have you had in this last more than 2 hours now? And I mean, I personally want to thank Sarah Lee, Sabirul, the professor, and Ahmad. With all the challenges we had in the internet here and there, we made it. And you know, I'm truly grateful for all the wisdom that you've been able to share with the amazing audience, and I'm sure the audience got a lot from it. But you know, wisdom on its own is not, knowledge is not everything. It's what you do with it afterwards. And I just want to finish with a little story I use in the leadership one as well, and it's about a wise man in the foothills of the Himalayas. And there was a wise man in the foothills of the Himalayas, and you know, he was never wrong. He had so much wisdom, and people kept asking him questions, and he always knew the answer. So these two young men were very, very keen to see him falter. I mean, a lot of people like to see other people fail, and they just wanted to get them wrong just once in their life. So they tried everything, and every time they were unsuccessful. But this one day, the one came to the other and says, "I've got it. Today it's going to happen." He says, "What do you mean today is going to happen? I know the old man's going to be wrong." He says, "How do you? We've tried so often and failed. One lesson: never give up." But he says, "No, today I've got it." He says, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to the village. We're going to ask him a question." And it says, the question is simple. I'm going to have a bird behind my back, and I'm going to ask the old man whether it's alive or whether it's dead. And when he says whether it's alive, I'll go, "Sorry, bird lovers, it's only a story." And then it says, I'm going to show the dead bird. And if he says it's dead, I'm going to show the bird, and the bird will fly away, and is sure to be wrong today. So they got excited, and they started a walk to the village. And in the village, they knock on the old man's door. And he says, "Wise man, can you come here? I've got a question for you." So he came to the door, and he says, "Yes, young gentleman, what can I do for you?" And they're looking at each other, because surely today it's going to happen, it's going to be wrong. And he says, "Okay, I've got a question for you." He says, "Okay, please ask." He says, "Wise man, behind my back, I've got a bird. What I would like to know from you is whether it's alive or whether it's dead." And they're looking at each other, because they know whatever's going to happen is wrong. And the old man says, "Oh, let me think about it." And he says, "I know you've got a bird behind your back." But he said, "Whether it lives or whether it dies, it's in your hands." So I just want to finish with that and hand over to Kamrul. But whatever you do with this information you've got today and all through the week, it's in your hands. Kamrul, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It cannot have been better than this. And I am greatly thankful, and I express my gratitude to all the speakers, the panelists from 5 different nations, and Professor Dr. Himdad. You have made it. You have made it despite all the challenges. Thumbs up. Sabirul Alcaraz, thank you for staying till midnight. It's 1 o'clock over. Sabirul Islam, thank you for giving so much time, and for audience, we're coming up with Sabirul's speaking program, Build Your Confidence on a Stage, coming to you soon. Jan Roberts, thank you. We have made it, right? You have made it. Aman.
We have made it. We welcome you.
We have made it. Correct. Aman. So Aman bhai, well done. Fantastic. Your support means a lot. Thank you so much. English Olympiad. You know how much I love English Olympiad and passionate about English Olympiad as well. This is one of my, I feel it. Thank you everyone, and watching Facebook. I believe this cannot have been better and bigger than this. Thank you. I'm blessed to have all of you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Stay well. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Have
good
a
night
wonderful
from
weekend.
Bangladesh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And from South Africa.
Tomorrow is big. Tomorrow night will not end. Thank you. And
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah,
so
bye. You too. Wonderful.
much.